She received her Bachelor of Science and her PhD at the University of Georgia. She completed a postdoctorate fellowship for the Hawaii Natural Energy Institute, the Department of Oceanography at the University of Hawaii. And her artist specialization is fungal systematics. Her studies have also been published in numerous journals, including Systematic Biology and the journal Nature. There are others too, but those were just the two I think. So without further ado, Dr. Standridge.
Okay, so title of my talk is Fungi in the Middle Ages, or Witches of Fungi. How many of you know much about fungi? What do you guys know about fungi? You know what a fungus is? Have you heard about fungi?
Woo!
Okay, so we're going to start off with the basics. What is a fungus? Fungus relates is the singular term, singular. Fungi means plural. So we're talking about one, which is a fungus. We're talking about many when we say fungi. Okay, they are in what we call the main eukaryotes. So they are eukaryotes, which means their cells have what? A nucleus. So in that sense, they are kind of like our cells. They are in a group of just fungi. Okay, but within this group of fungi, we have lots of different kinds. So when I use the term fungus, or when I say fungi, I can use something called microsporidium. These are very small intracellular pathogens, mainly animals, and there are some that do infect humans, and they can cause very serious disease in certain humans. And then you have ones that are in what we call the blastocladiomycota, that's a mouthful. And you can actually find them in the environment, soil, and water, but especially water, and all you really have to do is put a little bit of apple out there. They like to eat fruits. Okay, and they do have a unique feature. They have a lot more sex than another group of fungi that they're very similar to. And you might ask, why is that important? Well, that's how we classify them. Right? So then you have a group called the Neocalammasticomycota, another big mouthful. And these are very unique for being the only true anaerobic fungi. And we find them in the guts of various herbivores, animals like cows. And they're there helping digest the plant material that the cow eats, providing the cow with nutrition from that plant material, the grass that the cow might eat. Okay, so they're a unique group of fungi. Then you have the Chytridiomycota. This is the group that I worked on for my PhD dissertation at the University of Georgia. They have unique features like a zoospore, what we call a zoospore. It's a flagellated cell, kind of like sperm. Kind of looks like sperm, but it's not. Okay. And they are known for eating lots of different things like pollen, other plants, animals, lots of different stuff. But it's very important that they take our pollen. Why do you think that is? Why do we want pollen to go away? Yeah, how many of you have pollen allergies? In the spring you go, right? Okay. If we didn't have chytrids, we'd have a lot more pollen hanging out for a lot longer. So they're very important for that. Then you have this group that used to be known as the Zytomycota, and it's since been broken up into several different groups. But the different groups tend to include things that like to eat things like bread, people. A lot of them cause disease in humans. When they cause disease in us, they're essentially eating us. Okay? There's some that like to live off of dung. Anybody know what dung is? Like
Feces?
feces, poop, animal poop, rabbit poop, cow poop, horse poop, you name it. Poop has a lot of nutrients in it. These fungi like that. Some of them also go after insects, which is good. There's been a lot of interest in looking at the ones that go after insects and trying to use them as a form of biocontrol for a lot of insect pests. And they will on occasion have sex, which is how we often try to classify them. Okay. Then you have what are called the dikarya. These are fungi that have two nuclei at some point during their life cycle. Okay. So remember, karya usually refers to nucleus. Di means what? So sometimes, at some point, some of these fungi actually have two nuclei, which is kind of unusual for eukaryotes in one sense. And most of the ones that you think of when you think of fungi as mushrooms are in these two groups. So we have the Ascomycota and the Basidiomycota. And they're separated, again, based on sex. Okay? Sex cells, sex is also important in biology for figuring out what is what a lot of times. Okay? So the Ascomycota make what we call ascospores and an ascus. It was just happened to be just a little sac. And the basidiomycota actually make basidiospores on top of a structure called a basidium, but it kind of looks like a Burger King hat. Okay. So these are the major different groups of fungi. Lots of different things that they do. Very important in the environment. Some of them cause disease. Some of them we actually use. I didn't mention in the Actomycota we find what are called yeasts. And yeasts are very important for making what kind of food you buy over bread. It's also important for making certain alcoholic beverages like beer and wine and other things. And so lots of different kinds of fungi. But what I'm going to focus on today, after we get over the positives, are the negatives. And we're going to talk about one in particular that's in the Actomycota that has had a huge impact on human history, especially medieval European history. Okay, but here's some pictures of some of the ones I was talking about. So this guy here, this is what we call an electron microscope image. We're looking inside the cells. This is the microsporidium. Notice it's making this little sphere-like tube. Okay, it's going to inject itself into the host cell. Okay, this is what happens when microsporidia infects, say, you. Okay, and then you have this here, which is a chytrid. This is what we call a sporangium. It's got these little hairs coming off the base that we call rhizoids. And in this sporangium, you're going to have those little spores that can move. And these guys you tend to find again in water and soil. But remember, I said they eat a lot of what, especially in the spring, that make us go pollen. Pollen, eat a lot of pollen. Okay, and you can see that here. This is actually pine pollen. And you can tell because of the little ears on each side. And here is sporangium again. And it's breaking down that pine pollen. Unfortunately, some chytrids also kill frogs, and that's one of the biggest reasons for what we call amphibian decline that's been occurring over the last 20 years. Okay. Here is an example of what we call the glomeromycota. These are fungi that form a association with the roots of plants, so they have a nice relationship with plant root. The plant root gives them something. They give the plant root a lot of different things. It's a very beneficial relationship. It's one that we need to encourage when we grow plants. Okay. Here's one that kills insects. You can see all that white stuff. Those are spores produced by the fungus as it digested and destroyed the body of that fly. But how many of you like flies? No, I pretty much like this picture because it's a dead fly. Unfortunately, here's another example. This is not so good. Anybody notice what's wrong with that woman's eye?
Conjunctivitis?
Red and swollen. She has what we call a mucormycosis. She has a fungus that is infecting her eye and is damaging the tissues, causing that swelling. Okay. What's happening to the strawberry? It's being broken down, and the fungus is growing on the surface. It's also growing within the strawberry. How many of you ever had a block of cheese and one end is a little bit green? You ever cut that end off and eat the rest of the block? My grandma does that. Yeah, but realize what's going through the rest of that block that you can't see? The fungus. It's just producing spores at one end, but it probably started on the other end and is growing through the cheese. I throw a whole lot away. Okay, and that's because a lot of fungi will produce toxins. We're going to talk about an example today that makes toxins. And so remember Ascomycota, they make ascospores and an ascus. This little sac is the ascus. These things are the ascospores. Okay. Basidiomycota, here's that little pointy structure called the basidium. And on top, you're going to have basidiospores. And that's how they reproduce. And then if you're one of those people that has thought about, anybody ever gone mushroom hunting or gone outside and seen a mushroom and wondered, what is that thing? Okay. You have not? Next time you find one, try to figure out what it is. Okay. There's a really good website called the Mycopedia, and it can help you identify mushrooms. Now this is really important if you're thinking about doing what with your mushroom. Eating them. Why is that?
Because some of them can be poisonous.
Some are poisonous. Sadly, there was a recent case of mushroom poisoning in a 3-year-old. Okay, so I'm going to bring this up. I think this was, last week. 3-year-old died. Apparently the family went mushroom hunting, and the article doesn't give all the details, but somehow he managed to eat a mushroom, and it turned out to be one of the ones that is quite this little boy. And so you always have to be very careful. You know? If you take small children out, don't let them pick anything or eat anything till you have identified it. Okay? Okay. But, talk about some negatives, but there are a lot of positives and there are a lot of features that are unique to fungi. They are considered decomposers, which means what? They're very good at doing something. Think about what they're doing to that lady's eye and the strawberry. They're breaking it down. Okay? So that's their main job in the environment, is as a decomposer. And they break down lots of things, really even plastic. They have found fungi on film that have been in space. Not a whole lot of moisture, but the film, when it was made out of carbohydrates. Okay. And now even decay bodies, and there's actually a whole area of fungus that started opening up when you look at the microbes, including fungi. So you can actually tell where somebody's body has been, if it's been moved, how long it's been decaying, not just from other things, but also from the microbes, things like the fungi. And then, of course, wood decay is a very big issue. Why is wood decay a huge issue for us?
Because I don't know why, but because trees give off oxygen.
What do we build our homes in lots of places?
Oh, okay.
Do we use wood to build things? So is it bad if fungi decay that wood? Yeah. Think about also trees outside. If the tree falls over, lands on your car, is that a good thing? Not unless you get a good settlement from the insurance company. Okay, so these posers break down things. When they break things down, okay, they slurp it back up. The way that they eat, very different from the way that we think about eating. What they do is they spit out enzymes. Everybody remember enzymes? Enzymes that break down whatever that fungus is growing through, remember the cheese. And then once that stuff is broken down, you get this little soup. And they slurp it back up, and that's how they eat. We call that absorptive heterotrophy. Because they have to go after a different food source, outside food source. But they absorb the nutrients. They also have a unique carbohydrate, chitin, in their cell walls that makes them different. And they are closely related to animals. Fungi and animals share a very recent common ancestor. Which makes it understandable when we think about how many different pathogens there are in a group of fungi that can attack animals, including us. Okay. A lot of them make hyphae, those long threads you might have seen. Okay, we've got these long hairs here. Those are hyphae. A lot of fungi are composed. If you've ever eaten a mushroom, which you're eating a whole bunch of hyphae glued together. Okay, if we teased apart that mushroom that you ate, you would see these little individual filaments. Okay? And that's what a lot of fungi, that body is made up of that. And like I said, they grow through their food, and we consider their food substrate. Okay? I teach a plant class, and the joke in my plant class is that I really like fungi better than plants, because plants are just substrate. Okay? I like to study the fungus as it eats and grows through the substrate. And they always make spores. Remember those spores that I showed you? Okay, basidio-spores, ascospores, zoospores. Okay, these are spores. Spores are the way to reproduce for a fungus. So they don't reproduce like animals do either. Okay, and then of course, like I said, it's not going to be quite poisonous, unfortunately. So a lot of people feel like that fungi, to give them a little bit more credit for what they do, but they have actually ruled the world silently, pulling the strings by doing lots of things. Okay? And we've also discovered lots of uses for them. So we eat them, of course. We talked about alcoholic fermentation, bread. You can use them to make certain kinds of cheeses. Anybody here ever eaten blue cheese? Okay, real blue cheese. You can see this blue modeling here. That's a fungus. It's actually known as Penicillium roquefortii. Okay, Penicillium